Hey, beautiful souls, I'm Yvette, and welcome to my channel, Soul Therapy Cafe, where I give the tea and the sparkle on walking in your divine path. And today I want to talk to you about something really interesting. I want to talk to you about you. The first thing, this might seem like a really crazy question, but it is really serious, okay? And I want to ask you, because it's so important, especially on your divine path. And, it's something that we take for granted. We think that we know. We think that, of course, doesn't it make sense? Hello, but at the end of the day, not really. So I want to ask you, who are you? Yeah, I said it. Who are you? I'm not talking about, where you come from, or what your name is, or who you are with all of your titles and degrees and associations and money and material things. And, I want to know, like, who are you? Like, if you took away all the things that you use to define yourself, it could be your career, who you are in a relationship with, where you live, how you live, what you're good at, your hobbies. I mean, everything, your family lineage. If you took away all of those things, who would you be? Now, I know that a lot of people might think for a second, like, well, I'm just a man, or I'm just a woman, and but really, I mean, it's a really simple but profound question. And as soon as you find out who you really are, and when I say who you really are, what I mean is, like, who were you born to be? Who are you authentically before? I mean, I'm talking about just you, like, stripped of everything. Stripped of everything, like everything, okay? So that means that nobody knows you. You're like, I dropped you off in the mountains someplace, and, you're in an environment where all of your security and everything that you used to use to kind of prop yourself up with, it doesn't matter. So what would that look like? I mean, and it should probably look like something like maybe 2 sentences, maybe 3 max, but really I'd say about 2 compound sentences, because who you are is who you were born to be, okay? Like, who you are naturally, what makes you tick, what makes you unique, what makes you whole. And I want you to think about that, because on this divine path, you're walking in your purpose, your life's purpose. So, that means that forget about all the things that make money, or what society says is acceptable, or prolific. Forget about what people around you expect from you. I'm talking about, like, if you were to be your authentic self and nobody knew you, and that old stuff, like, didn't work in this new life. So would you say that you would have to think about it a little bit? Okay, I thought so, because I'm going to tell you that it's something that happens on your divine path, where it's like you go in there and you are kind of broken down. I mean, you're not that lesser self. And when I say lesser self, I mean that person that operates from ego. Okay, that person that you use as your default or your representative. Like, and there's nothing to be ashamed of. I mean, it could be as simple as, I am a man or a woman who was born to be of service, or I was born to protect others that cannot protect themselves. And what makes my heart sing in the end is XYZ. And the only thing that's ever mattered to me is XYZ. something like that, okay? And it doesn't have to be something that um, you know, your family or your children or whatever. I'm talking about you, the core of you, okay? And it's probably something, you know, really, if you really got down to this, like who you are thing, it would be something that would resonate with you, like when you were a child, okay? Something like before you got all the fancy language and experience in life, you know, you were pure and you didn't really care, or you weren't trying to impress anybody. It would just come out, you know, or pieces of it would just come out, and maybe people would laugh, or they wouldn't understand because they had never heard of it before. And it's because it's something that you created authentically, because you didn't know that it didn't exist in the world, and you really didn't even care, really. So I'm gonna ask you again, because maybe you might give a different answer. Who are you really? Like, who are you? When you were like a very young person, maybe like 5 or 6, you know, what did you, or how did you see yourself? You know, what defines you really? What defines your heart? That's the key. What is in your heart, not your head? Who are you? Because you're gonna need that kind of information, because on this divine path to becoming your authentic self, to living your life purpose, it's like I'm finding the more time I spend by myself, the more time I take risk, and I operate from my heart space, I'm starting to understand more and more about who I really am, because I am operating much of the time from my higher self, because I do ask my higher self, because again, that's who you really are. And I kind of like, I have this picture in my mind of like, you know, who we really are and who we become often in life. It's like this. It's like when we come into this world, you know, we are whole and pure, and you know, we have everything that we need, you know, intrinsically, to show up as our real, like our real selves. And then life comes along, and people come along, and places come along, and they kind of taint that, right? Because again, we want approval, and we want love, and we want to be accepted, right? And so what I want to say is that I see this picture of like this person, and they have all these band-aids on them, you know, like band-aids that you use to like cover up like scrapes or scars or little hurts. And imagine, like, you know, this person, this little person with all these band-aids on, and covering up like things that happened in their lives, you know, like these little people, they're just, you know, they've got all these band-aids on them, and then of course the band-aids signify things that have happened that have hurt them, consciously or unconsciously. Okay, and then you become this person that you were originally born to be, but then you now have all of these bumps and scrapes and scars, and then you become not just that original, pure, amazing, authentic person, but now you become that person with all of these scars. And so what does that mean? That means that now you are not who you really are born to be. You have made some changes, you have made some adaptations, okay? Because now you have these wounds, these scars, and if you don't heal them, then they kind of taint who you really are, okay? So it's like, what would happen if you would begin to heal yourself? Just think about it. Now, a lot of us don't know like how much, and we never really know, like honestly, come to think of it, like how much healing we have to do. And I hear people say, "Oh, I'm healed. I'm healed." Like I think I'm good, you know. And you know, and that's ridiculous because those are the people that really, really need to do the most healing. We never know. We could be healing things not just for ourselves. We might be able to heal things that that are burdens that were never ours. It might be from things that were passed down to you, that you inherited. So it's like you know, you might feel like you're paying a debt that you don't owe. Well, okay, they call it karma or generational karma, and some of us were actually brought here or were born to help heal generational wounds as well. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that imagine yourself if you started to heal things, and of course no, not a lot, but a few things, let me correct myself, are pretty evident in a perfect world. Like if you had things about yourself that you could change, okay, that you feel like, if I can, you know, I would feel much better about myself if, you know, just fill in the blank, right? Or you know that you have an issue about something, whether it could be, for example, like anger, you know, like you know, like me, I have someone in my family who's like, for as long as I can remember, it's like they have been like so angry all the time. They have this temper as well, and he kind of just explodes, and you don't see it coming, and it kind of affects everything in his life. But he thinks he has it under control until he doesn't have it under control, right? But he refuses to do anything about it. And I suppose nobody can make him, really. But imagine if you loved yourself enough to say, I'm really going to work on this. I'm going to get the help that I need. I'm going to do the spiritual work, or I'm going to get professional help so that I can begin to heal those wounds, those scars, those hurts, so that I could live fully in my divine path, or so that I can fully show up as my real self, my authentic self, so that I can be happier, so that I can show the world who I really am. And wouldn't that be nice? I mean, it is an act of self-love, and we hear self-love thrown around a lot. I talk about it a lot, you hear it a lot, but if you really loved yourself, wouldn't you want to show up as your best self? Wouldn't you want to be the kind of person that where you like yourself, not just like love yourself, and of course allow people to see the best of you? It affects everything that you do, I promise you. Even if you just start like with like simple things, you know? It's kind of like when you work out at the gym, I think. It's like, you know, you start working out and you just say, hey, I just want to lose like 10 pounds. And then after a while, you know, you didn't realize it, but you kind of like working out. And then you kind of like, you know, there's like 10 pounds gone, and then, you know, you feel better, and, you know, and then you look better, and there's other like exponential like benefits that you didn't even like think about, you know? So it's kind of like that, you know, you get all this added value from it that you never even like saw coming, but really you just went to the gym because you wanted to lose like 10 pounds, but you have all these benefits. So think about it. All I can say is that you are the only person that can love and take care of yourself, to show up as your authentic self, to define who you really are without all of that stuff. Because at the end of the day, that's kind of just like window dressing, really. It's just like you putting on your clothes and you're putting on your jewelry, or you know, you're getting into your car and you're showing up, and people are seeing an image, but is that really you, you know? And to show up as your authentic self, it really takes a lot of courage, because so many people do not show up as their authentic selves. I mean, how many people lie? How many times have you been lied to because people couldn't show up is their selves. They had to lie. They didn't trust, so they couldn't really show you who they really were, and probably because they didn't feel like they were enough, right? They didn't feel good enough. And if you told them that, they probably wouldn't even believe you, okay? Because their ego is running their lives. So all I can say is that one step at a time, but I promise you it gets better and better. And it really is all about that journey, the journey to self. Being on your divine path is no joke, but the rewards are like crazy, like really, really, really good, like priceless. I mean, you couldn't pay anybody enough to do the work, but once it's done, it's like there's another layer of like, I almost couldn't get it out, right? But there's another layer of like abundance, joy. You start to appreciate your life so much more. You start to appreciate others, and then when you feel that way, you know, being grateful, it's like more comes. It gets better and better and better and better. So I'm going to ask you again, who are you? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or donate.